Okay. Right? So a high act will go, right? But it's not a personal, it's not an attack on the act. It's how it's the deed mantra, okay? So I'm only gonna get 15 minutes for today. The 2
You
days
can
forward.
have longer if you want.
The 2 days forward, the 15 minutes, right?
You're longer. Like, can you guys see the flip chart? Oh, look, gee, I like 3 pounds. How do we do this? How do we do the flip chart? We'll show them. Yeah, like, right in and then.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
We can only have one part of the audience keep the dip. So what you're gonna do is you're gonna draw a cross on your piece of paper. A line. Like, yeah, a cross, okay? In the top left corner, you're gonna write a D. Top right corner, you're gonna write an I. Bottom left, F. Bottom C. Bottom right, C. So it's a guest profile. Okay? I don't know. Okay, so that's what we got, okay? So these are the 4 quadrants of the profile. Okay, the profile, the mantra of a dip is what? The mantra of a I is who, an S is how, and a C is why. Who knows Elizabeth chapter? Is Elizabeth on this call?
No.
So she's a high C. She needs to know why she's doing things before she can proceed. Okay, all right. A high D profile. Okay, who knows Lisa Joy? What does Lisa Joy say? Anybody?
She's probably a high eye.
She's a high I. What's her pace of walk? Anybody notice? You hear her heels coming down the hallway. What's her pace of walk? Fast. Would you think she has a warm or a cold demeanor? Warm. And okay. Everybody knows that's okay? What's her pace of walk? Fast. Is she cold or warm? Cold. You get a hug from her? Oh, yeah. Yeah. Should we look? I is fast and warm. Okay? Got it? Okay. A high C or high S. So high S are your nurses, your veterinarians, your teachers. Are they warm or cold people?
Warm.
They're warm. Are they fast or they're slow paced?
Slow.
They're slow. Who knows my husband? You ever see my husband walk in here? Like a little saunter, right? It's got nothing to do with the main Jamaican. It's his, okay? So they're slow and they're warm. Okay? Got it? Now, I've never ever looked at this person's profile, but I am highly suspect that Mike McDougall is a DC. This C is above the underside, is it? You don't actually,
He is a high D though.
oh, yeah, okay. So if you see me, my pace of walk, is it fast or is it slow? Fast. What do you think my disc profile is? D, I'm a DI, okay? So my D, so we're fast. In both of my profiles, I'm fast. Okay? Are these, like, did I come across as warm and fuzzy or a little bit cold? Cold.
But I love you.
Oh, we love you. Yeah. I am, well, okay? So these are fast and they're cold and they anger quickly. Right? So you know when you go into that room, who has a parent that used to go, talking about? Who has that parent? High D, fast. Slams down the house, vocal, pumps out her chest, sometimes stands up and wants to dominate like this, right? That's a high D. And they get fast, they get angry, and they get angry fast. No, when they're done, that's it, we're over. Right? Okay. Okay, so we've got fast, warm, slow,
Cold.
cold.
So YC is slow and cold.
Yeah. Slow and cold. Okay, so Okay, did you guys see this one here? What, you got it? We got the Z. Their mantra is what? Fast and cold, cool, fast and warm for an I. An F is warm and slow. A C is slow and cold. Got it? I'm not getting any feedback there. I
No, just thumbs up. Okay.
Okay. Okay, so. A G personality cares about the what. So if you ever been in a room, let's say a crowd like that size, you're in a room and somebody's telling a story. And in their mind, they think the story is funny and they need to go back to when Jesus was a baby where they start the story and they come up to where the funny part comes, right? Right? So they're telling the whole story and somebody in the room is going, will you get to the punchline? Will you get to the punchline? What is the end of the story? That's your D. That's the D in the room. So they want to know what the net is. Get to the end of the story. They're the person in the room that goes, no. Don't waste all my time with all the details. Just tell me what I need to know. That's your high D.
Typically,
So
two sentences or less, or you've lost them.
yeah, like, so I used to work in IT. I was a project manager. And I used to get anywhere between 500 and 800 emails per day. If I was on the CC, I had a rule set up on my mailbox that if I was on the CC, of not on the two, but I was on the CC, the rule was set up, it went straight to delete. I didn't even look at it. And if that email is greater than the 5-line preview, I deleted it. Because if you needed to use up a whole page to type it out to me, you're not articulate enough to get to your point, or we need you to have a meeting.
Right. Part of knowing the person's DISC assessment is learning how you need to communicate with them, not, but this is how I communicate. It's you need to understand who your audience is and get to their level, right?
So you guys, I'm sure all of you are using ChatGPT by now as part of your role, right? Like Crystal's not with me. We're not going to talk about it. So ChatGPT, like I was already a heavy user of it, but I'm a really heavy user of it now. So when you're drafting an email to your team leader, you can go into ChatGPT and say, write this to suit a high D profile. And you give it the content, wherever your content is, probably for most of you, it's a full page. So you go full page into your ChatGPT, rewrite it for a high D profile, and it'll pop it back out to you. Boom. Right? So put this in a high, summarize this into 3 sentences or less, suited for a high D profile, and it'll put it back out to you. It makes your life so much easier because you're communicating now. Like the high S wants to be thorough, but a high D just wants you to give them a punchline. What do I need next? Right? Make sense? Okay. Ready to go on? Okay. So in a team dynamic, now, if you're on a team with lots of agents, your agents on your team are probably high I. They are influencers, they're cheerleaders, they care about the people around them. Okay? If you don't ask them how things are with their family, they'll be upset. Like a high I wants you to say, hey, how was your weekend? Did you do anything exciting? They want you to connect with them, they care about the who in their life. They are also guaranteed the agents on your team that are making mistakes on every single one of their deals. Every single one of their deals, because they are what? Fast. They're fast. There is not, I don't think, so I've been in business for 14 years. I do a fair amount of deals. Like I'm not like a Google level, but I do a lot, like I do a lot of deals.
You're in our top 20.
I'm in the top 20, right? Well, I was platinum 1 year, number 3 in Canada 2 years ago.
Oh, yeah.
So I do a couple deals. I'll bet you in 14 years, there is probably only one deal I have done that hasn't had a mistake on it. Every one of my deals has mistakes on it. I forget to date something, I forget an initial somewhere. I don't know, I made somebody homeless one. No, I'm serious, right? Like every deal I have has a mistake. I need a high SC. I need an admin to look at my deals. So you When you know you have a high I, which is probably everybody else except for your rainmaker on your team, you have to look at their paperwork to keep them out of RICO jail. Does that make sense? So as the administrators, you're high-eyed, you're not necessarily babysitting them, but you are definitely once in a while. I don't know if that's their role on your team. If it is your role, the high eyes need more help than the D. Okay? Because the D is, although the D is fast, the I is fast and messy. They go by the seat of the pants all the time. Does that make sense?
Mhm.
Okay. The high eyes, so
How do you communicate with an I then?
how do you communicate with an I?
So we know how to communicate with a D. How do you communicate to an I?
So I have found that high eyes, the bad listeners. They want to throw up everything on you, but they're not very good at listening. So you really have to go, look, whomever, like who's a great example? I'm going to give you a good who?
Karen,
Who's Erin?
Karen on our team, she's the high eye.
I don't think I know Karen, but
I.
Amanda Winslow. Amanda Winslow is a high D and a high I. Now listen, I wanna express something. Every person, everybody in this room and on the call, just because you're a high S, doesn't mean that you don't have moments of high D. There can be a situation where you go, no, like with your kid, no, you're not running across the street, you're free, get back over here. Like, you have the ability to demonstrate a D. But what this is like your normal behavior patterns. It doesn't mean that you don't have the ability to host a party because you're not a high I. Of course you have the ability to host a high I, but you couldn't live there all the time. It would suck the bone marrow out of you. You would be exhausted. You could do it in a short burst. You couldn't do it as a part of your life. Whereas a normal high I, like Friday night, it's Wednesday, what did you do Friday? They're already making plans for the weekend to be with the who. Does that make sense? Okay, so a high I, you gotta go. I remember Amanda Winslow coming into my office. She was, I think, relatively new in the business. Can you guys hear me still? So Amanda is a realtor that used to be in our office. The name of the person doesn't matter. Our agent came into my office and asked me for help on something, which I had experience on. She came in, asked for help, and then never listened to a single word I said. In fact, I don't even think she stopped talking to take a breath in to listen to what, because she wanted to tell me what the problem was, tell me what her thoughts were on fixing it, and wanted me to affirm what her thoughts were. She wasn't actually interested in any coaching in that moment. So do you think I gave it to her? Fuck no, because I'm a high D. Sorry, I'll keep it to me. No. I did not help her because I'm a high D, and what was she doing? She was wasting my time. People hate it when you waste your time. If you waste your time, it's high Ds do not like it when you waste your. Okay? So I didn't help her because she wasn't interested. Another realtor approached me in the hallway, similar situation. She gave me her situation. She told me what her solution was. What do you think I should do? And then she kept on talking. Did not take a breath or a moment to listen to what I was going to offer her, although that's what she stopped me in the hall for. And so I looked at her and went, okay, well, good luck with that. And I went to my office. She felt fulfilled because she was able to mentally spew on somebody. And I didn't want to waste my time. So high I, you have to get them to stop. You got to get them to stop for a second and say, look, I want to protect you. This is what we need to do. We got to look at your deal. There's a lot of mistakes here. Let's get them corrected. They are coachable, most of them, but you got to slow them down. Just for a minute. I need your attention. This is important. I care about you. Let's do this now. Okay? High eyes usually are running in the door late. Okay? We good? On to the next one. Does anybody have any questions? Okay. High eyes also, they hate it when they hate rejection. Sorry, I have to think about that one. I remember for a second. High eyes hate rejection. So back to the who. If they're at a party and they walk into the room, somebody says something embarrassing to them or upsetting to them, and they feel rejected, that will sit on them for weeks and weeks. Like a high D is like, whatever, it's your problem. A D doesn't care, and a C definitely doesn't care. A high I, it will sit on them very long time. Years. Okay?
I can agree to that.
Yeah, a high I, their fear and projection. Okay, moving on to a high I. So if you were to take time, like if you really wanted to hone in on your skills on the disc profile, the S profile is it's 65% of the population. I'm way over on time.
Okay.
Okay,
I don't think there's one person in this room that wants you to leave.
okay. The S profile is 65% of the population, okay? Which means, so my sister is a high S, and high S's do not like change. They hate change. So I'll give you an example. My sister, who's 7 years younger than me, lived at home longer than I did, obviously. She was a little when I moved out. And when she was about 16 or 17, my mother, who was a high I and does things on the fly, right? My mother decided to change the furniture around in the living room. And my sister came home from college and walked in the door and saw that the living room furniture had been moved around, and she burst into tears. It was overwhelming for her. Like when I say hate change, I mean really hate change. So a high ass, if you, and a D, as if your boss and your boss is saying to you, oh, no, we're gonna do this, it's all about change, how we're moving. Like I changed Crystal's office around 3 times within the span of 6 months. I'm sure that didn't go well. Budget cuts. What are you gonna do? So for a high S, if a D comes over and tells a high S, the best way for a high D to communicate to a high S that there's gonna be change is they get down and they slow down their pace, because the high D is fast. They slow down their pace. I know this might be a little bit upsetting for you. I hope you can work with me on this. I've had to make some changes. We have budget cuts. Bring the options around. Can you work with me on this? So you have to really slow down, make them feel like you care about them. It's not like you're not being false, but I care about you. I hope you're okay with this. The reason for it is like a D has to, and most Ds don't even know how to communicate to us, because most Ds don't even know that they're a D. But to communicate, you gotta slow it down, and you gotta explain to them how this is gonna look, like how this is all playing out. When are we doing this? Why are we doing this? How are we doing this? They don't need the detail, because they're the one, they do need the detail, but they're the one that's gonna execute the plan. But they need enough information so they can put the plan together so that they can act it all out. Now, okay. So, an act, the fear of change. Oh, thank you. Yeah, very much. Thank you, change. Like, okay. A high C. Does everybody know look after? She's the highest C I think I know. So she was our compliance officer. It makes sense for her to be our compliance officer. She's not anymore. She wasn't one time.
Yeah.
A high C has this, they, in their life, everything has to be correct. They will overanalyze things so much that sometimes they can't produce their work. So an SC profile, so somebody, if you were hiring another admin, like an admin to you need a high C, because they won't output any work, because it has to be so perfect. In their world of perfect. And their fear is being corrected. That's their biggest fear. If you correct a high C, especially publicly, if you correct a high C, they probably will get back to you in about a month with all the reasons why they were correct and not incorrect.
Wow.
That makes sense to you? So a high C is a data junkie.
Data junkie?
They're data junkies. So a high C, the personality of a high C probably is an accountant, is an engineer, they're data analysts. That's your high C profile. So I worked with a guy and his family, a man and his family. His name is Q. That was his name. And he was a professor at the university somewhere down there, like West Ontario. And he was moving to Oshawa to be university at what was called UIT. It's now UTEX. And he was an engineer. I think he was a data engineer. Okay, so you can imagine how high his C was, right? Well, I didn't know the disc profiles back then, but he needed from me this kind of data. Then I showed him probably 50 houses. And at an age, it's showing somebody 50 houses is really time consuming. Now let's go back to my high D. What do I hate wasting? Time. What was I doing with this really high D? I was wasting a lot, I was burning a lot of time with this guy, right? And I was starting to think I needed to fire him, but I knew he was motivated because they were about to be homeless. Like he had to secure a property. Okay. So I still didn't know the disc profiles, but I started to understand what he needed. And I intuitively put together what he needed as a person. So he needed to know, do you guys know what the Fraser report is? Okay. Yeah. The school rating. So he had 3 children that were all in elementary school. He wanted to know which schools were best rated. So the Fraser report gives you that. It's just called the Fraser report. You can look it up. You can look up Oshawa, Brooklyn, Whitby, best report school. So when I realized that that was so important to him, I said to him, we're only going to go shopping in this area. Because you want your kid to be at the school, this is the area we're shopping in. Then he needed to know, over the last 5 years, what was the year-over-year value increase? He wanted to make sure that this area was not a bad area. Well, you can get that off the market watch. So I produced the areas that they were shopping in this school district and in this school district. I gave him 10 years worth of year-over-year market value increase for those 2 areas. Then he wanted the crime reports. Well, did you know that there's a website, an interactive website for the Durham Police on crime? I gave him the links. As soon as I gave him all that information, guess what? I showed him 2 more houses that we bought. He needed the data in order to make a decision about where he was going to move to. Without the data, he just felt empty. You need the data. So as an administrator to your team who's working with a high C, if you give them that information working with the buyer, you'll help your people, you'll help your team do more deals. And if your pay structure is set up that you're getting paid bonuses on how many deals they do, you just helped them free up their time to get more money because you gave them the data. And your high eyes are not going to take the time to get that data together for them. So if you do it for your high eyes, you're helping them do more deals. Does that make sense? In a team environment. Cool.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Is it?
Yeah, I'm like so excited. And I don't have agents, but.
So when I'm on my listing appointments, I call it my next step sheets. Really, it's just like, because I'll make commitments, like it's silly little things, like somebody will say, Suzanne, we had a water leak downstairs in the basement and I want to make sure the next buyer knows about that. We had it corrected and it was blah, blah, blah. So I'll say, what we'll do is we'll put a note on that area. I'll have a laminated sheet on that area, identifying what the problem was, what the fix is. I'll say that we're going to do that. I write it down on my little next step sheet so that my admin has it. Right? I will also, my next step sheet, I'll identify what their disc profile, or I will tell my admin, the disc profile of this person is a high S. They're very, so high S's are also emotional. They're the most emotional of the group. They're hurt, their feelings get hurt most. A high D appears emotional because they get angry fast. But these people they're the ones that they hold it. And the high S absolutely hate conflict. So a high S will actually, if you say to a high S, hey, you want to go to a party on Friday night? They will say, yeah. Because if they said no to you, you might say to them, well, why not? But they don't want to get into any of that with you. So they're the person that says, yes, I'm going to the party, and then just doesn't show up or call. Probably everybody in this room has done that at one point. Because that's what I have to do. I don't want to have a conflict with you about it, so I'm just going to say yes. And then you won't be able to get hold of me on Friday. You do. That's who they are. It's just the profile. So they don't want the conflict. All right, so here's the dynamic. The thing that you want to remember the most, your rainmaker is probably a high D. So as a high D, your rainmaker does not like going into the down and the dirty about what it looks like to them. They're going to give you the information at a high level. It will be your responsibility to say, okay, I'm booking an appointment with you on Monday so that we can review the details. This is what I understood. I need more detail on this, and this. Make it quick, make it like do point form, and do not use your team leader's time up unnecessarily. If you have 5 things that you need to discuss 5, don't discuss 10. Don't make that meeting that, like, see our meetings that we had yesterday. After an hour, I'm like, oh my God, I gotta get out of here. It's not because I necessarily have more to do, but I like staying in that space for that long. Like, my body starts to vibrate. Make sense? So when you're holding your meetings with your ID team leader, you really want to be very intentional about what the meeting is for, what the agenda is, and what you want to get out of the meeting. That's it. Do not go on and on with, I feel, and I was wondering, That's how you communicate with ID. With your high I, you gotta get something to slow down. We need to go over this paperwork. You're gonna end up in RICO jail. I need this and this corrected. Go take care of it. I need it by end of day today. Do I have your commitment? You'll do it. Because high I's are so fluffy. Okay. Any questions there?
Does anybody have any questions on the phone? Ruth, Rosanna? Is that Steve, Barry? Yes. Any questions, guys?
You want to down? Okay, so communicating with your high S's. Basically, you're like communicating with yourself. You need to give yourself or anybody on your team, like you have 2 S's on your team, right? So you probably have no problem communicating with each other because you identify what's like how you communicate, it's how you communicate. So it's probably pretty easy for the most part. Is it? Yeah. Yeah. So communicating as a high S, communicating with another high S, you want to provide them with as much information so that they are able to know how to proceed on to the next steps. That's like a high P. You have to really understand that they want to be correct and they don't not like being, oh, that's a good idea. I gotta change my color here though. Okay. A high C doesn't like to be corrected, and you want to be careful that you don't correct. You can correct a high C, you don't do it in public. You wouldn't correct a high C in front of everybody. You would maybe afterward go on and say, I just wanted to talk that through with you. You share some information with you. So you would be a little bit more politically correct in how you were addressing a high C having the incorrect information. Does that make sense? That's it.
Okay. Has this been helpful, guys? And then we'll mastermind a bit after we're done.
Okay.
Perfect.
I don't know what that means, but like, do you
What-
need a mastermind?
No, we want to value your time. Yeah.
Yeah.
I know it is. It is.
Does anybody have any questions, any specific questions?
So, how often would your assessment change and what influences it changing?
Okay, so your distance assessment will. So some things here that your disc is different now than it was before. Probably went back to the adaptive state. Okay, so I'm gonna share a personal story for you. So now you see how big my boots are. Okay, so here's a personal story for you. My mother, who everybody's probably not here, she comes in for, well,
cook-off, chili cook-off. My mother was extremely ill, 20 years ago. She had what's called a Whipple procedure. So she was cut from here to here and they took out, they cut or took out 5 of her organs. Pretty intrusive surgery. She had a tumor the size of like a large grapefruit. So my mother's natural, so there's, you can do the screen, right? There's the natural state. And there's the adaptive state. And as you go to your pages here,
Which page is that on?
24.
24. It's where you're gonna see two good.
natural and adaptive. Yeah, but so you go to the graph, it's easier to read. So your adaptive state and your natural state, yours are very close to each other. Your D is a little higher in your adaptive.
Ruth, have you done a disc assessment?
Yes, I have.
Have we?
My what's it called? My S is a bit higher than my C, but I do have a blend of D in there.
Okay, so are you on the page where you've got the two graphs side by side?
I don't have that one, no. I just have my previous results because I couldn't find my other report.
Okay, all right.
Okay, so my natural state, my V and my I, both sit at 99%. Most people do not lead with 2 profiles. I lead with 2. Both my D and my I are the same in my natural state. Most people lead, like I'm looking here, your natural state, you lead with your D, your I, and your S is very close behind. What are you? You're an SC, and your natural state, you're an SC. Your adaptive state, you drop down in your I a little bit. So you have a big, you really lead with your S. Yeah, you lead with your S. Yeah. You lead with your S, you lead with your S. You lead with C. Oh. You lead with C, but in your adaptive state, which,
Yeah, I'm adapted. I lead with that.
okay, what, should you lead with your S? Oh, yeah, S, and in your adaptive state, your S pops up, and what changes? You're pretty close to both your adaptive and your natural state. Your adaptive, your I drops down in your adaptive. Okay, so in my natural and my adaptive state, so in my natural state, I'm a D, I'm a high DI. In my adaptive state, my D drops way down. My, so let's go away, my D drops way down, and my I goes up. Now, my adaptive.
Yeah, what is it?
Okay. Yeah, so my adaptive state, so I know in a social, like, I know how dominant I am. I know, I know that I'm like a lot of people to take on, right? I get that. And I know, and I knew this before I knew anything about the disc profile. I knew that when I would go to a social event, I could not be the person bossing everybody around because it's not appropriate. I knew, like, I didn't know what was called a D, but I knew that I would,
You're conscious of.
I was consciously aware that I like lowered down that part of my personality in a social environment and I was more energy. So I wouldn't necessarily go to a party and go, why is there so many dirty dishes lying around? Can we get somebody to take them out? Right? If it was at my own house, I would be like, okay, I need 3 volunteers, let's get this done, into the kitchen, right? But in an adaptive environment, that lowers. Okay. I'm gonna give you 2 examples of adaptive, okay? So imagine, okay, high I profile need natural light. They are the personality, like, do you know Jaden Kennedy? Everybody knows Jaden Kennedy, right? So Jaden Kennedy was just looking for an office here in our building, maybe 4 months ago. And I gotta get a bottle of water.
I'll get it for you.
Okay. I was trying not to be too deep. Jaden Kennedy was looking for office space. She would not even consider the offices without windows. Would not even consider it. What's her profile? She has a high I. Now, she also has a high D, but first she has a high I. She needs to be,
Dave Patterson is, who's Dave? She's not here. Dave Patterson is currently not putting next to a window. That is not going to last. He will need to get back to a window. Because it's, like, we start to feel like we're shrinking. We can't, I remember I was working downstairs in my basement. I'm like, oh my God, get out of here. You gotta get like a high eye. Wakes up in the morning and it's not too long after they're awake that the curtains in the bedroom are opened up. They want the light in. And that they might not even notice. Like my sister, I go to my sister's house. I'm like, when was the last time you opened up your curtain? What is actually happening? Fresh air in the house? Okay. Makes sense? Yeah. Okay. Not to say that other profiles don't like natural light. I'm not saying everybody wants to live in a dungeon, but a high eye will go and like basically for it. Okay. All right. So imagine now a high eye profile is working in a mining community, a coal mine community. Sure, employer on the coal mine, right? Does anybody know what a coal mine is like? It's in the depths of the earth. You go down. My papa used to be a blaster in the coal mines. My gran used to fear his life every single day. He got trapped in the mine once in a foot of space lying down flat. 40 birthdays for 48 hours. Anyway, imagine a high eye profile goes down in the depths, the gut of the earth every day into a black, dusty environment where there's not a lot of people to talk to, right? You're on your own for periods of time and you don't have natural light. Every single day, work day of your life. Imagine doing that. You would turn into your adaptive state. You would, because you're now living in an environment that's not what you want. You would go in an adaptive state. A high eye needs natural light and people.
So when COVID hit, the staff that worked from home, myself included, worked in the basement with no windows. I was like fussing at the shop to come back to the office.
Yeah, because you're a high eye. Like, you may have been better if you had gotten out of the basement and come up to the main floor. That would have helped you. So COVID, when everybody was in isolation, the high eyes were like, what? High F's were like, I just squat. Right? And the high F is the 65% of the population. People are like, I got the bottom of my family. I'm like, okay. All right. So here's another example of when somebody, so my mother, back to my mom, she had surgery 20 years ago. It was pretty major. It took her 9 years to recover from the surgery because she went back in for several surgeries. She golfed and walked and bossed me around. So she's fine now. But so my mother is a high I see. She's a high I and C. So she's got a lot of energy and she really hates it when I correct her, which I do all the time because I'm a D. And post-surgery, post-surgery for many years, she was not any of these. Like she was in her adaptive state. As she got healthier and back to herself, she's back to her old vibrant IC. Okay, so yes, you can live in your adaptive state, but to my knowledge, it doesn't really change. So the loss of a spouse, you might go into your adaptive state and maybe you stay in your adaptive state because you mourn or, until death. You might, but your profile doesn't actually change. You're living in your adaptive state. Does that make sense? Yeah. So
Question about that. So when we are taking these assessments, it's before we start the career that we're in.
right.
So like when I did that, I wasn't necessarily in this position or in this job. I was starting out and I took the assessments to see if I would be a good fit.
Yeah.
So if I'm in the adaptive state, or if anyone is and they're hiring and they're giving the to someone and they're showing up in the adaptive might not be correct to what they actually.
So an example of that is Lisa Joy. So you guys, I talked about Lisa Joy earlier. So Lisa Joy is one of the top producers in our office. She previously.
Rosanna, can you go on and mute?
Name Tyler.
Might be just
timed it 10, anyways.
Okay, so, Lisa Joy, when she joined my team, she did the DISC profile. And when she did the DISC profile, she was an, I have to remember here, she was an IS, which by the way, is one of the better, sales profiles. With a D right at the energy line. That's an amazing profile for your salespeople. So an IS, when she joined my team, she was living, and I don't think she would be upset with me if I shared this with you. She was living penny to penny. She was just surviving. And she had a young girl, a young daughter that she was caring for. And when she joined my team, she literally had taken the last bit of money off of her visa to pay her rent. She was broke. She was really stressed and she was living in her adaptive state. I don't know, well, she's probably living in her adaptive state right now because she's quite sick, but I'd be willing to bet that Lisa Joy's desk now, her D is higher and she's living more in her natural state. Yeah. So you may have done, when you joined, you may have joined working with Mike years ago, and maybe, you know, a lot of motherhood happening and you're not really being, you're being a mom. Please understand, I'm not criticizing anybody for being a mom. I'm not, that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying like, you know, you're taking care of kids. Your life just had a major change. You're like, what the fuck just happened in my life? These kids are dominating me, right? Like it's such a massive change. And it's not really, it's like, sure, we're raising our kids, so it's not who we are as a person. We're not just moms, right? We're much more than that. And so when you came and started working for Mike, it's very possible that you were living in your adaptive state. Your mind was living in an adaptive state. And so your DISC profile years later, if you were to redo it, which you have, shows differently because you were living it that way. Another thing, so identifying how what somebody's DISC profile is really, if you could quickly identify somebody's profile, it will help you.
How do you do that?
Okay, so let's go back to this. So let's go back to the first sheet. You're talking to a client. So you're now, you're the team admin and you call the client, you're like, hi, it's Crystal from the Suzanne Mills team. I'm predicting the future. Hi, it's Crystal. It's Crystal from the Suzanne Mills team. And the person on the other line says, hi, thank you so much for calling. Enjoy calling. What's your discount? They're high. Okay, so if they talk really fast, you know that they're either a high D or a high I. But if they talk really fast and they don't shut up, they're what? They're high I. If they talk really fast and they're asking like boom, 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 3 questions, give me the answer, then they're a D. Okay, now I told you I used to work in the IT industry. Where did I put my purse? Oh, I used to work in the IT. I need the phone. I need props. So I told you I used to work in the IT industry, right? Oh, look at that. My husband called me. He wanted the lockbox. So hold on a second. Are you kind of that now?
A little bit of ADD.
Oh, okay. Can you go back? I'll give you the code. Sorry. I can remove furniture for one of my clients. Can you remember the code for Darlington?
For Darlington?
Do you want me to go into broker bed?
No, I'm
No.
I am now. I actually just looked and I'm like, this is too complicated.
Yeah, they put
Everything. Yes. Well, I'll tell you why, because I heard that agents would just break into houses, like they would,
yeah.
yeah, so that's why I changed the codes. But now I'm like, no. We're simplifying shit. I'm on my own. Okay. Yeah, it's not streamlined when you have lots of people to do stuff for you. Okay.
Talk fast and long.
Okay. So I was in the IT industry, and so I used to work in warehouses. That's what I did. I used to put software into warehouses. Well, do you know anything about the warehouse industry? It's a man's business. And the cold storage warehouse is Southern man's business. Rich,
rich, southern, racist men. Anyway, not that I'm judgmental. So I remember talking to one guy, okay? He was from Atlas Cold Storage. Miss Suzanne, I want to call you and talk to you about a couple of things that I need to go over. And I was just wondering, if you'd be available, oh, call on Thursday, 11 a.m.
The muscle growing that.
Okay, so what's their disc profile? They're not. Wait. So he's slow, he's slow, he's kind, he's warm, that is an accent. He was not D, but he was nice, okay? So you call somebody and they're high C. A high C is slow, but they're very precise in their language. So they're slow. A D is like abrupt. A high C can appear, C can be confusing sometimes. A high C is like checklist, 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 checklist. They go back and they put things on their checklist just so they can check them off. A high D doesn't have a checklist. A high D is like, do that, do that, do that. So they are very task driven, both profiles are task driven, but a D is delegating, a C is doing it. Okay, all right, so back to when you're talking to a high C, so a high C is usually slow, and they're like, yeah. Okay, there's no warmth in the conversation at all. So they're slow and they're cold in their tone when they're talking to you. The other way to identify, okay, anybody in this room, virtually or here, anybody Italian background? Anybody Italian? Rosanna? Rosanna, talk to me like an Italian. Come off of mute.
Come off of mute, Rosanna.
Okay.
Right there, so we can see your hands.
Stand up so we can see your hands.
She's not standing up.
No, stand up, Rosanna.
How you stand up is you raise your ass off the chair. Okay, tell me about your weekend, Rosanna.
Busy weekend. Visited my mom, did a lot. Yeah, I use my hands a lot when I talk.
Okay, so you can sit down. What's your profile? FI?
Sorry?
What's your profile?
Oh, I'm a C and S. I'm a high S and C, little bit of I.
Okay, all right, so here's the okay, well, everybody will say, well, Italians always talk with their hands. Here's the distinction. Here's the distinction. What am I gonna do?
Yes, yes, because we can see you.
Here's the distinction, okay? High D and high I talk outside of their body frame with their hands. A high S or C will not use their hands or will talk inside of their frame. So a high I is like this. Oh, like, let me tell you about it. Okay, so we're talking about Italians who all talk with their hands. A high D Italian or a high I Italian is talking outside of their frame. A high F Italian would be like this. That's one of the distinctions. So their pace of speech, their pace of talk, pace of walk, pace of talk. If they're warm or if they're cold personalities, those are ways that you can tell. If you see them, a high I is always wearing bling blings. They're always wearing bling blings. Like they've always got a flash or something on. They got like snazzy shoes on. Okay. A high F is wearing things that are comfortable. Okay. Like Stuart Smith. He's an FC. He's an FI, I think. He wears Birkenstocks. How many days of the year? 365 days of the year. He might wear a pair of boots on the coldest day of the winter and he's wearing Mercs the rest of the time. Like a high F profile is wearing comfort over fashion. A high D is like they're in their business suit. A high I is flamboyant with their outfit. A high I, you're working with a buyer that's a high I, they walk into a house and within 3 seconds, they decide that they're buying it. But all they're doing is looking at the light fixtures and the hardware. They didn't look at the practicality of the house. They didn't go, like, I remember I had this woman, her name was Karen, and I was taking her to look at houses. I had to slow her down. Right? She's like, oh my gosh, I was gonna buy it. I'm like, hold on, Karen, let's pump the brakes a little bit here. You told me that we needed a house with lots of storage. We haven't even checked to see the closet sizes yet. Right? So you have to, so high I thinks, they make decisions very emotionally. Okay? Impulsive. Okay? All right, well, I have 3 kids here from Jamaica at my house that I wasn't really expecting after when I made this commitment today, so I gotta go.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Okay. Oh,
This is just a little thank you.
thank you. Not necessary.
Bill wanted to do.
I'm going to a pumpkin patch with kids today.
Okay, that's fine. What one do you want to do?
I'm not sure, probably not.
Yeah, no.
So good. Right, any questions online?
Nope.
No, okay, hey, tell me 2 things tell me before I go, give me 2 things that you got out of this. Or what, give me 1 thing where you went, oh, that's good info.
To try and determine someone's disc profile in order to understand how to communicate with them.
Yeah,
That works best for that.
yeah, yeah. And it takes practice, right? Like you're gonna leave here, you're gonna go, oh, wow, that's so valuable. And then tomorrow you're gonna go to work and somebody's gonna start talking to you and you're gonna forget. You have to be intentional. Like if this matters to you, you care and you want to take it on. And I don't know. It's like sometimes I'm just like, but when it matters, when a situation matters to me, I'm like, okay, hold on a second. I know that that's the high-S profile, but if a high-S profile customer and you bring in a stager, now think about that. A high-S hates what? They hate change. And you bring a stager into their house. Do you think you have to do a little bit more prep work with them on what that looks like before, right? And high-S's are how many % of the population? Right. So if you're staging high-S person's houses and that stager's coming in, like the DI is like, oh my God, it's gonna look amazing when it's all done. High-S is like, are you telling me I gotta move my couch away from the wall? No, I don't. It's gonna look fine, just the way it is. Like, I have a guy, honest God, I've been working with this guy for 15, well, I've only been a realtor for 14. So let's say 13 years I've been working with him to sell his house. I've been down to his house 3 or 4 times to price it out for him. It's recent this year. And when I was there, I was like, Ron, look, if selling the house is really something that you're looking at doing this coming spring, we really need to get the house ready for photography. And how that looks is that we start to get decluttered on the house and we paint the house a neutral color. How do you feel about that? Not doing it. Not doing it. I'm not changing anything. They can buy my house the way it is. Now, we all know that staging is relevant, right? So there's a lot more work there. So I got to work on his wife to work on him.
And he's what?
Oh, he's a raging high-ass. Yeah,
Hate change, right?
he changed. He said he was coming to my wedding. We're coming to the wedding. He did not come to the wedding and he did not want to have a conversation with us about why he wasn't coming to the wedding. He's been high-end. At the time, I found it insulting, but now I just realized that that's the profile. I would rather lie to you than be risk the possibility of confrontation. Yeah, I'm not sure why I sat down there. Okay, so what did you get? What's something?
Anything. Like being able to identify to be able to communicate better.
Okay.
Be a lot warmer with my eyes. Be a lot warmer with my eyes on the team.
Okay,
Interact the profiles a little better.
cool. I'm just sitting raging. I'm sitting here raging. It's like, oh, I'm not like that anymore. I'm not like that anymore. And how do I communicate with my eyes? So, yeah. I might have to do that. Okay,
Communicating.
Yeah.
With my agent,
good.
understanding how their behaviors.
Yeah. If you read your profile, there's a section in there that tells you how you like to be communicated with. And if you're really interested, I mean, there's YouTube videos, you can watch them in 3 minutes, or you can read on it, on how can I better communicate with my team leader who's a high D or my rainmaker. What did you get? How to identify them. That's always been a struggle, yeah.
I find it interesting that 65% of people are S's,
Uh-huh.
which is crazy.
Yeah.
And then also I want to look at everyone's profile again on the team and like actually
Me
see if
too.
these things line up.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, like, I think your Bailey is probably a pretty high C.
I would think so.
No, high F, I'm sorry, I meant to say F. I would think your Bailey is probably, like, how many deals does he do a year?
He's at 10 this year.
The other thing about D is that they can ask for the close. That's what they're good at, they ask for the close, like. Here's the truth story for you. This is your story. Crystal knows part of it. Okay, so I have a client who was selling her home, moving in with her now boyfriend, who she was pregnant to. And he was selling his home up in Peterborough. So it was a 3 deal. I was selling 2 homes and helping them move into 1 home. Right? Okay. So I met with them. I met with them at her house. We put together a game plan based on like the money that was coming out and, right? So we put together a game plan in terms of timeline because we wanted to make sure nobody was homeless and the kids are sorted and school and blah, blah. Okay. So we put together a timeline of how we were going to execute and what we were going to execute in the market, blah, blah. Okay. So the decision was made that we were putting her house on the market first. We're putting her house on the market first. And I said, okay, like how quickly do you think you can move on this? And how important is it to you to get going on this? Well, we had her house up on the market in 2 weeks and we sold it multiple offers. So the market was still a little bit, I can't remember what the month was, but she had her baby in July. We sold her probably in March of this year. Okay. And then I went up and met with him and his house was in Peterborough and I priced at his house. Well, he didn't like the price I gave him. Okay, well, that's what the house is worth. Okay, so he chose to sit and wait for the market to speed up. So our plan changed a lot. So now it was only her money going into the new house, not their money. And I try and treat everybody as if that was my little sister or my little brother, so I quietly took her aside and I said to her, I'm not a lawyer, I'm not a counselor, and yet I feel like I should say to you quietly, you may want to talk to a lawyer before you cohabitate with this guy, now that the plan has changed. Well, she told him I said that, and he did not want to work with me anymore. And she called and she said, Dan, I don't know what to do. So-and-so doesn't want to see you and he doesn't want you to show him any more homes. Can we terminate the agreement? And can I work with another realtor? Well, she was a past client of mine. And I was like, there is no fucking way I'm letting you be manipulated by that guy. I'm just not. So I said, I'll talk to my broker of record about it, but he doesn't normally allow termination. So I walked down the hall. I did what I said I was going to do. I walked down the hall and I said to Fuji, I got a buyer who wants to terminate a contract with me. We don't do that, right? Fuji went, no, we don't do that. I'm perfect. And I went back up the hall. I went back up the hall and I called her the next day and I had a conversation with her and I said, ultimately my broker of record makes the decision. And he said, no, he's not prepared to terminate the contract. So I continue to, why am I telling you this story?
You were talking about Bailey initially.
We're all brains. Hi, Epps.
Yeah, he's a Hyatt. Yeah, he's a Hyatt.
I think that's why you were telling it.
I can't remember the purpose of the story. It was relevant.
Well, what happened?
Oh, no, not after the deed, ask him for the clothes, okay. Okay, so his house, so we moved her into it, so we sold her house. They bought a house in Curtis and he's moved in, they're cohabitating, she's had the little girl, the baby. So his house went up for sale with the Toronto Wagon. And I've been keeping an eye on it, right? Well, it expired. So I saw that it expired. Hey, Mary, it's Suzanne. I know that our relationship with a little south, I'm sorry about that. I noticed the house up in Peterborough hasn't sold. despite our relationship, I'm a kick-ass agent. Let me know when you want me to get it sold for you.
Right.
Now, he didn't call me, but I didn't care. Like, I'm okay with asking for the close. I told my girlfriend that works at Sutton Group. She's a real estate agent. She's been a realtor for 20 years. She's like, God, you got balls of steel. Because she would ask for that. But I'll go, like, I don't care. I don't understand why you would want to work with me. Like, I actually don't understand it. So I'm so okay with asking for the close. You're high ass. You're high ass. I did what? You want me to do what? That looks too much like it might be confrontational, so they're not doing it. So a high D will ask for the close. So back to your profile, if you got salespersons on your team that are leading with a high at, they're probably not in the right seat on the bus. Cool. Okay.
Thank you so much.
All right.
Bye to them.
Yeah. Hot mess.
Awesome.
Okay.
Bye. Okay, what'd you guys think of that?
That's great.
I almost feel like that's probably our best mastermind so far.
Yeah, it's lovely.
Yeah. So, okay, so would you guys be comfortable going back to your teams and asking your team agents to do their disc assessments now that you've got this background?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay, Ruth, yeah, go ahead. Awesome.
Did we give them that same link that you sent us?
Same link
Okay,
and just
but they
email
do
me
the
to let.
sales When they don't do the.
Yeah, they can
Okay.
choose the sales one. I mean, I don't think it really matters truthfully, but send it. Know if there is somebody that you've sent it to, because all three brokers use the same database. So as the results through, we just need to know which market center do they need to send the results to. So we have a file that we kind of keep track. And so as I know, I put their names on and then they know to send it to me. Yeah, Ruth, go ahead.
Did you send me that link? Because I didn't get it.
Yeah, I'll send that to you, Ruth. And then Rosanna, you can send that out as well to anybody else in the office. Stephanie, Mary, like you guys can send it out to anybody as well.
Okay.
And then send us the results when we get it through. Yeah, perfect. Okay, any other questions on DISC? Anything you want to talk about?
It did help me when I was with Suzanne,
Yep,
communicating with a booth. There
Okay.
was always a lot of butting heads between me and him. And when I read his profile, specifically the communication, it made a world of difference. I had to change how I was talking to him.
right.
Yeah, it worked.
I think the struggle I have is it's easy for me to identify the Ds. It's not as easy to identify the other people. So if I know, like, again, if I have to email Suzanne, it's like 2 sentences or less, or I've lost her. But the other profile, that's where I get, oh crap, is this too much? Is it not enough? Is it too cold? Is it too warm? I do get nervous. So I think having everybody's just done might help everybody. Cool. Okay, so next month we are going to talk about KPAs. We have my math coach is going to be coming on as our guest speaker. So he's going to talk about why KPA is important and also understanding again how you can use that in a team environment. When you are hiring a team agent, why it's important for you guys to also be involved in the KPA process. You can understand all that stuff about the person. Now, I know Suzanne took up the majority of our time, but I personally feel like it was much more valuable than just her speaking for 20 minutes and then us chatting. For the KPA one, do you want my math coach to talk more about it so we have less time to mastermind or chat afterwards? Or do you want a healthy mix of both? Like, what will you guys want?
What is this lobby for, an hour and a half?
An hour and a half. It's how long?
For an hour and then we have a half hour?
Yeah, I can totally make that happen. Yep. Okay. So as far as KPAs, if you have not done a KPA, let me know. Same with you, Ruth. If you haven't done one, let me know, or Rosanna, and we'll get those assessments sent over to you.
You can check to see if we have. done
Yeah,
it.
I can also check to see
I
if
think
you've
I
done
did
them. Now, KPA will change. Absolutely. So for, as an example, do you guys all even know what a KPA is? Okay, so I'll give you a cold note version. KTA is what's called a Keller Personality Assessment. And it is an assessment where it allows us to understand where your strengths are and what position you are best suited for. So one assessment will give us a report that'll give us your match for over 50 Keller Williams positions in our ecosystem. So everything from an admin, an employee, an agent, team, working for the region, working for Keller Williams International Corporate Office. It'll give you every report on every position. So it is about a 45-minute assessment. Same thing, you want to be in a quiet, uninterrupted environment. Some questions are timed, so you don't want to have unnecessary delays. So with the KPA, for me, when I started 6 years ago, I was a very high match on a lot of the staff roles, like MCA, I was like 95% match, like all these things. 6 years later, I shit the bed on an MCA match. It's just, I've grown in certain areas that it's not necessarily what it would say is my strength. It now says that I'm a high match for regional positions or KW international positions. So as you have different experiences and exposure, your KPA can and will change. And it's not a bad thing. Like, we all want to grow, right? No matter what we're doing, we want growth personally. So those definitely you can do like anytime you want, as frequently as you want, like once a year, all that kind of stuff. Okay. All right, so Ruth, we're going to send you the DISC assessment. Do you need the KPA as well?
Second. You might as well just send it to me anyways. I actually, I have Barb's. It's in the same folder that I have for DISC profile, but I haven't got one for my other two team members. So it might just be an interesting thing for me to bring up at my team meeting anyways, that we'll all do our KPAs and see how that goes.
Perfect. Okay. Any other questions? Anything you guys want to chat about? We've got 12 minutes left, or is there any questions you just want to ask that has nothing to do with this or KPA while we've got everybody in the room? No? Ruth, you're good? Okay. Well, thank you guys so much. I really enjoyed it today. So I asked it for it to be recorded as well. So I'll send out the recording. I took a photo of the notes here that Suzanne made. I took a photo of the notes I made as well. So I'll send that out to you guys as well, especially for those that weren't able to join the call today. They can at least hear and see what we all chatted about. Awesome. All right. All right, guys. Have a great afternoon. We'll talk to you soon.